If you woke up tomorrow with only the things that you said you were grateful for today, what would you have? You can feel grateful, and that's important, that's valuable, and that's awesome. But practicing gratitude is the act of actually understanding what does it mean to feel grateful.
And I'm sure there's still things that I'm not appreciating enough now that I'll regret later. But I think that's life, and I think that if you look in the mirror and go, what do I appreciate most? What am I showing in my actions that I appreciate most? And will your future self thank you for that, or will your future self go, wow?
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1516, Seeing is Believing Might Be Holding You Back. Today, for episode number 1517, it's called Practicing Gratitude for a Reason. When I am on podcasts, usually we talk about breaking life up into health, wealth, and love. That's usually the theme of the episode. And oftentimes when we get to the end, the host will say, what advice would you give to our audience? And 9 times out of 10, I will say, try to build one new habit under health, one new habit under wealth, and one new habit under love. Nothing crazy, something that's super sustainable that almost seems like it's probably not going to do anything. And then I usually give it examples. And when I talk about the love one, I will usually say, my wife and I have been playing the gratitude game for, I don't even know how long, years. It has to be years at this point, where every night before we go to bed, we each say one thing we're grateful for about each other. And we very, very, very rarely miss. Like, I'm 99% of the time we do it. If we miss, usually I'll send a message the next day, and Taryn will respond. So we very, very rarely miss. When we think about gratitude, I think oftentimes we assume gratitude is something that you feel, when I think gratitude is actually something that you practice. You practice gratitude constantly. One of my favorite questions, this is old, hyper-conscious conversation. If you woke up tomorrow with only the things that you said you were grateful for today, what would you have? You can feel grateful, and that's important, that's valuable, and that's awesome. But practicing gratitude is the act of actually understanding what does it mean to feel grateful. Practicing is telling other people that you're grateful about them. Practicing gratitude for your body is using your body, or practicing gratitude for your incredible brain is using your brain. So that is what we're talking about today.
So I said a quote a long time ago, speaking of hyperconscious, way back on the podcast, what you appreciate appreciates. And I think that's a really powerful frame. The idea here, and I've used this analogy before, is when you appreciate the home you're in, you take really good care of it, you clean it, you redo the floors, you renovate it, you do the landscaping, you mow the lawn, you make sure that, if you've ever seen the movie Jumanji, shout out, way back, way back, probably mid-90s, there's a house that gets really overgrown and there's like a jungle in the house. If you've never seen Jumanji, imagine a house that's just not been taken care of for 60 years. That's what would happen to your home if you weren't grateful for it, if you weren't renovating it, if you weren't cleaning it, if you weren't landscaping, if you weren't redoing the kitchen, if you weren't cleaning. I think I said cleaning already. The point is what Kevin's saying in this episode, and this is what I agree with so deeply, because I often say, people say, well, I'm grateful for my health. And I honestly, there have been times where I've called some people out. These are clients. So I get paid to call people out at times, and I'm doing it kindly. But listen, if you're really grateful for your health, you'll take better care of yourself. Mm. When you're grateful for something, you take really good care of it. I have a Mazda, Kevin's hand-me-down Mazda, and Emilia has a Model Y Tesla that's really, 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 really nice. It's the nicest car I've ever had, or been a part of, I should say. It's not my car, but you know what I'm saying. And, I mean, this is what do those go? I don't know. What do those go for?
I honestly don't. 50, 60? I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Okay. $50,000 or $60,000. It's a really, really nice vehicle. I really adore this thing. It's got a big kiosk, and it's awesome. But anyways, one of the things that when Emilia and I first got it, one of the things that sucked is I can't put my cup on it. I have to watch where we park. I can't hammer the door right into the the cinder block or the sidewalk. I'm joking. But one of the cool parts about having crappy cars my whole life is you just don't have to take that good care of them. The Mazda, I don't care, right? Hammer that door right into the... No, I'm being playful, but I put my coffee cup on the Mazda. Of course I do. Who cares, right? Oh, you're going to scratch the paint. I don't care, right? This whole car is worth, what, $4,000? I'm kidding. Okay, so here's the point, though. What you appreciate appreciates. We take better care of the Model Y because the Model Y is more valuable. It's more important. It's worth a lot more. I actually like the luxury of not having to take care of my car, but I also don't value cars that much. So that's a me personal thing. And I like the luxury of just not having to worry about it. But our home, I try to take really good care of. And so I had a mentor once who took better care of his Porsche than he did his own family. And I actually couldn't continue mentoring with this person because I just can't. I can't separate someone's knowledge with their actual gratitude. I can't separate their character. For me, a lot of people can say like, oh, well, you know, so-and-so is really good at golf and so-and-so is really good at business and so-and-so is really good at football. But who cares if they're a terrible person? I do. So, you know, trigger warning, but like Aaron Hernandez, for example, I don't care how good you are at football. If you're an awful human being, that's what I'm going to judge you based on, not that you can, you know, catch a ball or whatever. So for me, I can't separate character and success. I just can't, and I won't do it. So many of my mentors who had lower character, I just eventually had to be like, regardless of how wealthy you are, I don't really care. I can't learn from you unless you're holistic, and I can't learn from you unless you lead by example, particularly when it comes to gratitude. I don't want you to take better care of your Porsche than your wife. That's unacceptable. I don't want you to care more about your car than your family. Can't have it. And so gratitude has two sides to the coin. One side is feeling grateful, to Kevin's point, and it's, I am grateful for my health. I am grateful for this home. I am grateful for this community. I'm grateful for this podcast. I'm grateful for my lungs, whatever. But I think real gratitude, and I'm so adamant about this, take care of your lungs by not smoking. I was grateful for my mind in a feeling, but I wasn't taking care of my mind when I was drinking a lot. I regret all of the times I binge drank because that was bad for my brain. If you're grateful for your brain, you'll get good sleep. You'll not poison it with alcohol constantly. You'll take care of it. The things we value and the things we're grateful for, we take good care of. And if you're not taking good care of them, I think gratitude is not only a noun, it's a verb. It's showing gratitude. I don't want Emilia to think, oh, Ellen's really grateful for me. I want her to know in my actions. If you looked only at my actions, then you would know that I am grateful for Emilia. She would know that I am grateful for Emilia. And I think that goes so much longer. I think walk is so much more important than talk. And that's ironic coming from a podcaster. We do a lot of talking.
We do a lot of talking. The other day, Taryn was having a little bit of a rough day, and she ended up she went somewhere. She went to work. And I walked out of the office. I was walking down the hallway, and Ace was just laying on the floor, just like laying on his back looking for bellies. And I had this overwhelming moment of gratitude, and I texted Taryn. I said, I'm so grateful we have a roof over our head, and I'm so grateful we have abundance, and I'm so grateful that we have this nice, amazing family. And it just was a very surreal moment for me of, oh, these are our cats, and this is our place, and there's a lot of amazing things going on. Now, again, sometimes you have to double, triple, quadruple down on focusing on the things that you're grateful for because you're overwhelmed and there's other stuff going on, and we can lose sight of that. But again, you've heard me say this a million times. That's why I think reflection is so important. I think reflection helps you find gratitude because you realize the contrast. Whatever the contrast is, whatever it may be. And when you reflect, I think you can find things to be grateful for. When I look back, living with Matt, I lived with my best friend for 4 years. Sometimes that was a pain in the butt because we'd spend so much time together that we would kind of want distance away from each other. But now when I look back, I'm so grateful for that experience because now I see him once every other month now at this point. I'm so grateful for all the time. I have so much nostalgia built into that When I think back, it's amazing. I think about that to the point where we're
Call of Duty.
a little Call of Duty, yeah, the good old days. A little Call of Duty and a lot of whiskey back in the day. Now, I've never claimed to be. I would argue that I'm probably not as grateful as for my brain as Alan is. So that's why my decision-making paradigm is different than Alan's.
Yeah, it's not as much of a core value.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
Well, I think it's important to throw that out there where you get to decide what you're grateful for. But when you decide what you're grateful for, also practicing it is showing up and proving it. If we say we're grateful for you and then we just don't do any episodes, we're not that grateful for you.
Yeah.
Or being grateful for this opportunity, for this privilege that we have. Now, yes, we've worked extremely hard over the last 7 years to get to where we are, but I also understand wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt and a hat and showing up from my office whenever I want is a wonderful thing to have. But I want to remain grateful for that, because when you lose gratitude, you gain entitlement. And when you gain entitlement, you lose all the things you were grateful for in the first place. Unfortunately, that's kind of the way it works.
Hello, my name is Eddie Pinero. I'm the founder of Your World Within, and I wanted to take a second and just express how valuable working with Alan has been. His ability to help me create clarity and maintain focus on my big picture goals has been huge. You know, he's been a huge asset with the roadmap as well. The day-to-day things, the little things that we sometimes overlook. I think anyone looking to, grow themselves, grow a business or both, would truly benefit from having Alan as an ally along the way. Again, great mind, but more importantly, solid dude.
When you lose, I actually think that the opposite of gratitude, you don't understand something until you understand the opposite. So I'm always doing this in my mind of, okay, what is a core value? Okay, what's the opposite of value? I'm always trying to understand the opposites of things. I'm a little weird with that. Gratitude, I remember we talked about this years ago on the Hyperconscious podcast. I think the opposite of gratitude is entitlement. Meaning you think you deserve it by default. So you're entitled to your health. So whatever. I'll share this story and it fires me up. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to get probably fired up. I remember I was around the campfire back in the day when I used to frequent bonfires. I grew up in the sticks and I love me some bonfires. And there was this was a young man who I looked up to as a kid, for sure. He was one of my close friends' older brothers. And I never understood back then how little other people care about their health, even though they say they care about it. And I remember I said, hey, man, why do you smoke so many packs a day? Like, why do you smoke so much? Just genuinely curious. And obviously this person is insecure about it. They felt attacked. They're like, well, I'm going to fucking die someday anyways, so who cares? And I remember thinking, that's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And again, at the time, I just, okay. And then I thought to myself, like, that is the worst logic I think I've ever heard in my life. It's like, well, what if I die tomorrow? What if you don't? What if you live to the statistical average of 78 years old, which is, by the way, the most likely case, not if you keep smoking, obviously. And I remember I was really adamant. I was 12 years old and my mom used to smoke. And she eventually quit because I just could not stop nagging her about it. Because I was grateful. I valued my mom. I love my mom. I don't want to see her die. I was so adamant about her quitting smoking. She said, I never would have quit if it wasn't for you. And I just can't settle on this idea of, oh, well, I'm going to die one day anyway, so I'm just going to smoke like a chimney. Yeah. Okay, if you want to smoke, don't rationalize it with idiocy. Just say, honestly, it's worth it to me. I don't really value my health very much. That's the truth. You don't value your health very much. That's okay. Kevin and I were joking about how in high school we smoked cloves and we thought we were cool. And, I drank a bunch, right? But I wasn't lying to myself saying, oh, I value my health at 10 out of 10 and I'm still going to binge drink on the regular. I think that we lie to ourselves and we lie to each other. And the truth is you're not being grateful for your health. And maybe you're not. Maybe that's a choice. Maybe that's a conscious choice. Maybe you aren't that grateful for your health. Maybe you don't really care that much about your life. I tell this story about how when I was at my most miserable, least fulfilled, I would say, I had a girlfriend named Courtney at the time, and she had graduated nursing school from the UMass School of Pharmacy. It's a really awesome nursing school. And we went to celebrate her and all her classmates. It was like 30 of us. So we went to this place called Jillian's, which is like, for those of you who don't know, I don't know if Jillian's is global, but it's like an arcade bar. And you have pool tables and ping pong and every arcade game. It's actually pretty awesome. And I remember I did nips in the car. Nips are little bottles of alcohol. I remember I put a couple nips down right in the car right before I got in. And I acted like my life was awesome. And at the time I made a ton of money and I did have the dream that I think everyone thought was a dream. And as far as misery goes, I think, I was still living in a free country and I still had a roof over my head and I had a lot of money coming in. So I think there was some benefits. But at the end of the day, I was deeply unfulfilled and I was pretending that I was happy. When the truth was, if I had just been vulnerable and honest with myself, the truth is I'm unhappy. I don't really want to go and show my face in this bar and pretend to be happy. I do want to celebrate Courtney and her achievement, but I don't know if I'm capable of that right now because I don't feel good about me. And so what I did was I drank some alcohol and I went and pretended to have a blast. I think my intentions were pure to try to celebrate her. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of us are full of it. I wasn't grateful for my health and I wasn't showing it in my actions. And so what you appreciate appreciates. Check in. This is NLU, right? We're not here to just talk about fun stuff all the time. Check in. What aren't you appreciating that you might regret? I regret poisoning my brain. I regret a lot of the choices I've made. And fortunately, I've felt those regrets. I've faced the mirror of what I didn't appreciate. And I'm sure there's still things that I'm not appreciating enough now that I'll regret later. But I think that's life. And I think that if you look in the mirror and go, what do I appreciate most? What am I showing in my actions that I appreciate most? And will your future self thank you for that? Or will your future self go, wow, I really, really didn't appreciate that enough. I didn't understand what I had when I had it. And yeah, I think it's really important that we all do that in advance. I think we call it reverse engineering regret. And I think all my regrets in life, this will be the last thing I say, I promise. This is my next level nugget. All the things I regret in life are things I didn't appreciate.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Things that I didn't appreciate. When my dog died, right? I was so upset that I didn't spend a lot of time with him that day. Just, that. All of my regrets come down to me not appreciating things enough and me getting entitled for sure. So, I think if we just look at that, I think our future will be much brighter.
I said that on a previous episode that I think about Fudge and Ace dying all the time. Mm-hmm. An unhealthy amount, but I don't think so. I think from the outside perspective, you might say that's dark and that's unhealthy, but every time I try to do this, every time I walk by them and one of them rolls over for bellies, I stop. Even if I'm in the middle of something, even if I'm busy, it takes not even 5 minutes, it takes 2 minutes. Yeah. Sometimes Ace sleeps with me. He sleeps in between my legs, and it's I sleep really well now, but sometimes it's a pain in the butt, but it's like, honestly, I don't really care. Whatever. So I don't get as good a sleep. I'm going to remember this forever. This is my favorite thing in the world. I love this. I love
worth
this.
Worth it to you.
It's worth it to me. Yeah. And I've had those. I know I've talked a lot about jiu-jitsu lately, but jiu-jitsu is bad for your body. I will get injured fairly frequently with jiu-jitsu. I don't care. It is what it is. I'm grateful for a strong, capable body, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to do it. So it's worth the risk to me.
It's very self-aware of you.
I try.
That's the thing, right? There's a big difference between, jiu-jitsu is not bad for your body.
It's terrible.
Versus, honestly, it is, and it's still worth it to me. You
Yeah.
see the difference? Versus that guy who's like, I'm going to die one day anyway. It was all ego. Yeah. It was all ego. Versus, honestly, it's worth it to me right now, and I need this cigarette. That's vulnerable versus just all ego. So,
yeah, it is. It's a question about, is it worth it? And to the best of your current awareness, do you think you'll regret it?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll regret it? That's my next level nugget. If you have not yet joined our private Facebook group, #NextLevelNation, please do so. There's always conversations going on, very similar to the ones we have on the podcast, obviously. And it is a community of heart-driven humans like you who want to get to the next level in life, love, health, and wealth. As always, the link will be in the show notes, and I'm pretty sure the link is always in the show notes. So it'll always be there. You can always find it. Please join if you have not yet, but you want to.
So every Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for coming up on 140 weeks in a row, we have done Book Club, the Next Level Book Club, Next Level Books with Next Level People. We are currently finishing up Jim Quick's book, Limitless, and we will be putting a poll in Next Level Nation, which Kevin just plugged. So if you want to join Next Level Nation, there will be a poll this week. When's this dropping?
Saturday.
Yes, there will be a poll this week for the next book. 5 different books to pick from. High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard is my go-to favorite. I have been swaying the vote in that direction, so please vote for that book. I'm kidding, but also that is the one that I'm going to vote for, so just saying. But at the end of the day, we don't read just books just to read. We're in there to discuss things that matter with people who care for a reason, and that reason is to improve your life. Book Club, all the members of Book Club, we've got some long-term members now, they would attest to Book Club has helped me improve my life. That's what I care about most. A book is just a book. It's what you do with that book that's going to improve your life and therefore inspire others to improve their lives, and that's how we change the world. One person at a time, one book at a time, one podcast episode at a time, one new habit at a time. Because at the end of the day, people need to see people that inspire them and motivate them and challenge them to become more, and Book Club is that. So every Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The registration link will be in the show notes. I actually think it's a link to the landing page. You put your name and email. It emails me. Awesome. I will register for you. And please reach out.
Tomorrow, for episode number 1518, start planning your holiday boundaries now. So at least in the U.S., we are a global show. Obviously, we have many listeners all over the world, but the majority of our audience is in the U.S., at least North America. If you are coming into holiday time, which we are, Thanksgiving's coming up, Christmas will be coming up for those who celebrate that. This is one of the reasons family is so challenging in the holidays, because you're connecting with people you haven't talked to maybe in a year since last holiday, and there's a lot of weird stuff that happens around the holidays with boundaries and family. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow for episode number 1518. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Stay grateful. Next Level Nation.